Hiya. This is another one of my videos on the theme of tool storage. I've already talked about my TP4B, basically what I call my low step count bag, which means I can get most anything done with just the bag without having to go back and get any more tools. So it's the pretty complete, not absolutely complete, but pretty complete bag. And there's garage storage, which basically has any tool I could ever want. And some that I rarely need, but I have anyway. And then there's tool belts and other various types of storage. This right here is an outgrowth of the home junk drawer. In my family, we are so committed to the idea of junk drawers that each one of us have one of our own. My wife has two, and my son has one, and I have one. But during the COVID shelter in place where we work from home, I really hated that my tool drawer was as chaotic as it was. Not tool drawer, my junk drawer. And that's sort of the purpose. They hold the stuff that you think you're going to be picking up again in the next couple days, and they just get forgotten. And so you just start accumulating stuff. And there's a lot of useful stuff in there. There's a lot of useless stuff in there. But I came up with the idea that, that I have what's called an EDU storage, which is everyday usage. And it's what you use every day, but without the compromise of every EDC, which is small, kind of, compromise on size and strength and so forth. So this is the outgrowth of that I have stuff that I can use every single day, but it's not compromising anything much. The principle behind this is that to populate this drawer with the tools, I couldn't buy any tools. I had to use the tools that are already in a junk drawer or already in toolbox overflow. I actually have some that are tools that I was wanting to try, and I still liked the ones that I had before better, so these are sort of leftovers. Anyway, the idea is that I shouldn't have to buy anything. The consumables shouldn't be in the same place, meaning blades or whatever else that you use on these things. Shouldn't be in with the tools. They should just be separate. These are just tools. The tools should be grabbable and usable and replaceable in 30 seconds, between 30 seconds and 3 minutes. I wanted them to be really, really available, really, really, really fast, and I can get back to doing what I was doing. So this pile of stuff right here is what goes in my EDU. And so I'll just go ahead and put it in my EDU. So the other thing is junk drawers. The reason why they tend to get junky is because they have no way of holding together the stuff that needs to be together. And so I got these little plastic cups, and I hot melt glued them to the, you can see here, hot melt glued them to the bottom here because they tend to slide around. So that's what I'm going to be putting these things in. The first thing I have isn't what normal people call a tool. I call it a tool because I reuse these things. That they're not consumables. I use them over and over again. And these are called Ranger bands. Now this right this is just a bag of Ranger bands. This is one of them on the outside holding it shut. And these things came from the Army Rangers when they wanted to fasten stuff down and have it not make a lot of noise. If they wanted to be quiet, they had a way of holding their rifle straps or other kinds of things down. Basically, it's a bicycle inner tube, or at the time when they were first created, they're bicycle inner tubes that are sliced into half-inch slices. Nowadays, I think they're purpose-built as Ranger bands, and they are super strong, hard, you almost can't stretch them, but they last a long time. They don't lose a lot of elasticity. Jeez. So these go back here, and then next are a bunch of screwdriver handles. I use Mega Pro. I've been using Mega Pro forever, so I bought these things, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna need this. And this is the safety bits, which has torque safety, which has got the hole in the middle, It's got Allen safety got a hole in the middle, and it's got these weird things that look fork shaped. And there's the ones that I use mostly on here are Torx. But occasionally I have a safety version of the hex that I use. That's what this is. Goes here. Then I have my Mega Pro Standard, which has, you know, all your typical slotted and Phillips and Robertson bits. I also have ECX in here somewhere. So the one thing I don't like about this particular this particular loadout is it's stainless steel. I got it for my motorcycle, and I had 2 motorcycles at one point, so I had 2 of these. And so one of these it stays on the motorcycle, and the other one is here now. The reason why I got stainless for my motorcycle is because it gets wetter there, and I didn't want it rusting. So anyway, that's what this is. Goes in here. And I've got hex, and these have imperial and metric hex. Super useful. I use this actually. This was the only tool that I used, other than a level and a tape measure, to install my pickup rack for my kayaks. I happen to use Allen wrenches, and this thing just did a great job of doing that. I also use it for towel bars, different kinds of fixtures inside of my bathroom, door handles, all kinds of stuff. Use hex, and these hex keys are just way easier to get to, and it's pretty complete set. I've never had to go outside the set to solve my hex problem. So that's that. And oh yeah, this is the Klein multi-fine screwdriver with a few multi-headed screwdrivers for glasses and things like that. I kind of like this for glasses and stuff, or other small screws, and so that's this. Then this is the one tool that I used that I violated my rule of not buying, and that is because originally I had here for my combination pliers, it was my SOG multi-tool. My SOG multi-tool had combination needle nose and regular pliers. This one does one up on it, and it has the multi-position slip joint, and it makes it way more versatile. And this is probably going to be the most used tool in this whole drawer anyway, so that's why it's what it is. This is something that I think Doc on Last Best Tools recommended, and it's basically a snap tie snipper, flush cut snipper. But this one is better than your typical snap ones. It's certainly better than the Klein. The Klein looks like you could get it out of the Cracker Jacks box. This is iGans. Really cheaper than the less durable ones, and it really does a good job. I like this a lot. Thanks, Doc. This is a FID, but it's not your typical rope FID. This is a FID used for, especially if you're staying and working from home and you're in your jammy pants all the time. Sometimes the drawstring comes out, and what this is good for, this is what people actually use for professionally to put drawstrings in, is something like this. And you can put the shoelace type end here, and it doubles over here on this, and you can just slide it through. It's way better than a safety pin or a paper clip. It's super fast and super reliable, and surprisingly heavy. I don't know what it's a solid piece of steel. So, and that goes here. Okay, this is a good enough flashlight. It doesn't have to be super portable, so the Olights and things like that, those are great, but I don't need that. I just need something I can find easily in the dark, and that's what this is. And this one is using the 18650 lithium batteries. So that's this. Then I've got something else that I don't really call consumables, And that's just a whole mess of these bread ties, but these are wire ties, are much heavier gauge than your typical ones. They do a great job for cable management. I just use these things all the time. And I get tired of just looking for the little curly up ones that are left over from different jobs. So it's like, yeah, fuck it. I'm just getting a pouch of these things. This, unbelievably useful, especially for you're sitting around in yet another one of these live meetings where you're chatting with your coworkers for the 5th time on the same topic. Sometimes you have to get some goo off of, I don't know, something that you've been working on, you're taping on. And this is what this is good for, is getting goopy glued on labels and scraping it without damaging the underlying surface. And so it does a really good job of that. And this uses plastic blades. And I find this super, super useful. I use it all the time. Okay, and then all the, I got a 4X Bausch & Lomb flip out magnifying glass that I use because I got old man eyeballs. So that's this. Goes here into this little slot. I have a tailor's tape. I use a tailor's tape to measure around objects that are not square or don't have lateral faces. They just have, round. I measured for my hat. I got a custom hat made. I use this for measuring my head, but you can use it for anything is not square, and my head is not square. And it's retracting. It uses metric and imperial measures. Then is a perfectly adequate tape measure. It's a tape measure for, not for construction, but a tape measure for, I don't know, furniture placement or whatever. So if I needed to know how big is this drawer, I can do that pretty quickly. I don't need a really big tape for that. How tall is this thing? What kind of chair will fit under it? This is good for those kinds of measurement problems, not the home construction measurement problems. Okay, there's there. This is some very small truncated kit of dental picks. You can use these for all kinds of things. I use them for cleaning out little nooks and crannies of things. You got some hot melt in the wrong spot, you can use this to dig it out. It's also good for O-rings and other kinds of things like that. So there's the picks, and then there's also the mirror and forceps. That goes in here, right here. This is the alternative razor knife, and this is the one that has the tips that snap off. And by the way, this plier is perfect for snapping them off. Better than a lineman's. Lineman's has that gap and it sometimes doesn't snap cleanly. Anyway, this if you just want to have a big long blade, it works for that. But if you want to snap off and get a nice fresh edge, you can just go ahead and snap it off on these little seams. And that goes here. This is an experiment. I wanted to see, is there anybody who can make a fast opening knife like the Fast Pack? And this is not as good as the Fast Pack. Some people say it's better because it's got a better clip, pocket clip. And I think, no, it's not reversible. But the thing is, it doesn't, I've oiled this like crazy, and it's just not as reliable about snapping open and closed. But still, it's better than your typical utility knife, and it has blade storage like the Fast Pack does. And so that lives in this drawer now instead of in my pocket. Okay, this is a pencil sharpener. It's normally for my colored pencils, which I do with my grandkids, coloring books and stuff like that. This is a good pencil sharpener. I use it mainly for my Rhodia pencils. I like the Rhodias because they have the nice black linden wood, and they're triangular, so they don't roll away very much. And I like writing with them better than I like writing with, say, my Pica-Dry. Pica-Dry is good for, you know, measuring wood cutting measurements. And this is less good than that because you have to have a sharpening tool really close. But if you're at a desk, I prefer this. I prefer a wooden pencil to a Pica any day at a desk, not next to my chop saw. Okay, here's another. This is my little nipper scissors. I guess, and this tailors and seamstresses and whatever use these things for pulling out seams better than, you know, a seam ripper. And I do sew sometimes. I consider my sewing machine a power tool. And most of my sewing projects involve tool rolls and things like that I want to have custom made for holding exactly what I want instead of not. I probably should do a video on that. I had made a pretty good set of tool rolls for my motorcycle that makes it be exactly the right size for what I've got, the tools I have to carry. But anyway, normally this hangs around your neck if you're sewing, but and it's in my EDU drawer. It's not hanging around my neck. It's just tucked away right here. And this is a pin vise. It's got 4 chucks. It comes with 4 chucks. And this is a 1mm bit. You use this to, if you're going to drill into some piece of wood, and this bit is so fine, and a mechanical power drill will probably bend or break this thing. So you just put your finger on it and just bore right through there. Really, really useful. I find it useful for little popsicle stick projects I'm doing with my grandkids. So that's this, and these are the spare bits because they do actually break. You can make them not break as much by choking up on the. So this has got a lot of the bit inside here. You choke it up as much as you can so that less of the threads are exposed, and it makes it less likely to break. And here, and finally, everyone needs these things. Pair of tweezers. I like the Tweezer Man. These got a nice sharp tips, ground really nicely. They meet in the middle, and then they don't have any gaps. Very nice, and they're wide here, so they got a lot of leverage. So, and they don't fall out of your hands. And then a pair of nail clippers. So there's that. I got a couple other things that I use to complete the area here, and that is this. This is my laptop, but I covered it with dry erase contact paper, and so I got some pens here, dry erase markers. So I can dry erase this stuff, or I can take notes while I'm on the phone without using pieces of paper and then throwing the pieces of paper away, or leaving them around and not knowing what the fuck they are. Yeah, and then you just erase it. That's good. So that's pretty handy. And it's a good use for a freaking laptop, which has that surface on it that you don't get to use it for anything, and so I figured out how to use it for that. Oh, and yeah, the rack here for the pens. Dry erase markers, if you hold them tip up, all the ink will drain down into this inside here. This is kind of a big felt magazine that holds all of the ink, and it tends to dry out when you hold them tip up. If you hold them tip down, you have no idea which pen is which. So if you hold them sideways, which is how you're supposed to store them on a whiteboard shelf that has for the pens, it's horizontal, and that's what this is for. It stores them horizontally without using up any shelf space. Anything else here? Well, this is kind of useful. Huh. I use these things. They're disc magnets, neodymium magnets, and I use them for all kinds of things. for hanging tools up on the wall, because these have little stickies on the back. So they do a pretty good job of holding things in place. And I think that's all I have here. So this is, again, the everyday usage drawer. Oh yeah, I guess there's the other thing here of the everyday usage cup. So scissors, Inksol, gold, silver Sharpies, an extra iPad pen, and a laser pointer for the cat. So, like that. Okay, that's all there is for this thing. Thank you so much.